Hey everybody, it's Zach again at newtutorial.com. Wanted to come in and make this video. I get asked all the time about aquaponics, and Zach, let me see your aquaponics system. Let us see it up close. Show us how it works. Tell us how you built it. And so today we're going to do that video. We're going to do a walkthrough on my off-grid aquaponics system that we're running here on the mountain. But before I begin, let me encourage you to go to myaquafarm.com. If you're interested in doing an aquaponics system, whether small or big, or you're just interested in the information that helps get you started in that type of endeavor, let me encourage you to go to a site called myaquafarm.com, run by a friend of mine named Travis Huey, who was very helpful in us getting started in our own aquaponics system. And so myaquafarm.com, if you want to do this, there's plans for free that you can download on that website, myaquafarm.com, where you can set up your own small system. And if you want to get bigger, you can get bigger. But he gives you the plans for free. And he also gives you the option to purchase a retail option that you can purchase and have delivered to your home and set up yourself and give you a good amount of food and grow your own fish. Just right out of the box. It's a quick setup. There's all kinds of information online at that website, myaquafarm.com. Check it out. I hope you'll do so, and you can even start your own system just like we're doing here. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so what we're running here is a 40 bed system. These are half barrels. There's 40 half barrels that you're seeing here in our system that's continually being fed with water and watered on a continual basis. So 40 half barrels, and it's being fed with these flood tanks. So we're going to show you how each one of those work. But this is basically how it is. We've got all kinds of plants growing in here. We'll go ahead and go through some of these and show you what we've got. But it's 40 half barrels is the system that we're running in here. So basically, if you don't know how aquaponics works, it's pretty simple. You have a fish tank. The fish pee and poop in the water. That water gets pumped up to a holding area. And then from that holding area, it goes across your grow beds where your plants are growing. And so basically, your plants are absorbing and sucking up the nutrients put out by your fish waste. And they're using that to grow. It's pretty simple. The fish pee and poop, your plants eat the pee and poop. Simple. Very simple on how to do. It's a very simple concept. So how we're doing this is basically, if you look here, here's a fish tank. Here's some fish tanks. The fish are, right now we have in here goldfish. You can probably maybe see a couple goldfish down in there. And so the goldfish are peeing and pooping in that water. And goldfish are notoriously very dirty. We're going to be replacing the goldfish here with another fish. We've decided on bluegill. And so because we get too cold here. It's very hot here now. It gets hot in the summertime. But in the wintertime, it's just too cold to keep the tilapia going. And in the spring time can still get 30 degrees, 40 degree temps. And so that's still too cold for tilapia. So we'd only have about a 4-month window, maybe 5 months if we're lucky, to really grow the tilapia. And tilapia really need at least 7 months or more to grow to a good size. And so we're going to grow bluegill in these tanks, and we're going to take the goldfish out of them here very quickly. And so you have the goldfish in here, and they poo and pee in the water, and then they get sucked up through these pumps. And so what I have here, there's a pump down there, and there's a pump right here. Okay, what happens is the distance between the bottom of this tank and the top of this flood tank is too great for one pump to do it all. Now keep in mind, folks, that I am on solar. I don't have any electricity here. I had to generate all the electricity on my own. I have solar panels out there that are doing that for us. And so what's happening is I need to conserve my watts. Very conservative. I have to be very conservative on my power usage here. And so I could go ahead and get a really nice pump that would pump all the way up and have no problem to get to the top of here and put the water in my flood tank. But I find it's cheaper on electricity if I have a small pump here that's about 25 watts or so, and then have another one here that's about 17 watts. And then I pump it this far up, about 3/4 of the way, and have this pump it the rest of the way. And the next pump that I could get that would do it all totally would be about 90 watts. And so I can get a 25 or 20 or so watt pump, or a 30 or so watt pump down below, and a 17 watt pump here, and I save the wattage. And so it's easier on my system on electricity and on my battery bank. And so that's what I'm doing. I have basically 2 pumps for me, and for me it works out just perfectly that way. And so I pump it about 3/4 of the way up. This pump takes it the rest of the way up, and then cycles it in here. And I get a cycle on my grow beds about every 45, 50 minutes, maybe an hour or so, depending on how the system is set up. It differs between 45 and 50 minutes, basically, is how long this takes to cycle. And so this is constantly getting pumped up here. It's going in there. You can see the water coming out over there. And this fills up, and there's 2 tanks behind this tank. There's a tank there, and there's a tank there. And those 2 tanks fill up. It holds about 120 gallons. Once it reaches a certain height inside this barrel system, there's a series of PVC pipes that are inside here, and it flows through those. And then once it reaches a certain level, it begins to flow down through here and fill this soda bottle. And once this soda bottle fills up, it pushes down, and there's a valve inside here, like the same type of valve that's in your toilet, that opens up, and it flows down through here, through this pipe that you see there, and into this manifold, and it flows out here. Now, once it's in the grow beds, it flows out these pipes, this manifold here, pretty fast. And as it flows out this manifold, it's constantly flowing out. You can still see it's emptying here from the last cycle. It flows out here, but see, the hole that it flows in is a lot bigger than the hole that it flows out. It's a tiny hole. And so what happens is the water in these grow beds rise at a very slow rate. And it rises just about that it hits the top or just underneath the top of the surface. And then by the time it reaches that point, it's empty. And so this stops. And this is continuing to flow out again. I don't see it just stopped there. And so this grow bed here is empty. And so basically what happens is you have a real slow fast rise in the bed and then a slow fall, which also helps to draw down the oxygen. So this one's just now getting started. And so you see that this one is flowing, and this cycle over here has just started. And so it's pushed this down, and now the water is flowing down through here and into those grow beds. And so what's happening here is basically a rise and fall over and over again. And that draws down oxygen into the beds, and it puts the fish waste into the beds, and the plants are sucking that up and using that to grow. And so that's what it's doing. It's over and over again. It pumps the water up, it stores them into the 2 tanks behind this tank, and there's 4 of those. And once it reaches a certain level, it begins to flow down, fill the bottle, and the bottle drops, and out it comes. And it flows back down through this system. It basically flows into this series of gutters here, and it flows back down into the fish tank. Pretty simple. And at the same time, it aerates the water, which the fish appreciate. They appreciate the oxygen in the water. And so one other thing that is ingenious about this system is that, say, for instance, if you see this water here, it's not flowing as exactly, it probably needs to be adjusted, as fast as the water next to it. So there's more water coming out more quickly than there is one here. Well, that's not a problem if this bed flows or gets filled quicker than this one. Now, I'll probably adjust that to fix that problem. But what happens is if there's some kind of blockage or whatever, or something happens where this one flows faster than the other one, there's an equalization bar that you see here. This equalization bar is connected to each grow bed. And so there's one here, it goes down, there's another one there. And so if this grow bed gets filled faster than this one, what happens is it flows out into this bar and flows over to the next one and then fills up this grow bed. And so the grow beds fill up the same speed at the same time all together. And it's just an ingenious system. And so that's how this works. And so this equalization bar is very important to have, so to make sure your grow beds are flowing up at the same rate at the same time. And it's very important also that your grow beds be very level as much as possible. In fact, these grow beds here are off just a little bit, but I need to go back and adjust that. But you want to get them as level as possible. That's very important. And then the last bit is this right here. You can control the height of the water outflow by using this bar right here, by raising it up and pushing it down. If I raise it up, the water level of the grow beds rises. If I push it down, the water level of the grow beds will never go below this piece right here. This is the equalization bar. And so if I get too much water in the equalization bar, this is basically my quick exit point. I can drop this down and all of the water will flow out. Okay, and if I want to raise it up, if the grow beds aren't getting full enough, I can always raise this up, and that raises the level of which the equalization bar will empty and the water levels in the grow beds will come up. I hope that makes sense. But it's very ingenious and it works very well, and so we use this. It's working perfectly for us, and things are growing. Here's a tomato plant that started from seed inside our system. So we started this plant from seed inside the system, and I thinned it out, and it's growing here in the grow beds just fine. And so here is some Brussels sprouts that are growing in the system. Brussels sprouts. And this here is the beginning of a Venus flytrap. I ordered this through, or my parents sent this to my son Joshua, and this was some other type of Venus flytrap plant. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm going to try and see if these plants will propagate on an aquaponics system. This was sent by my parents to my son, so we'll see how that works. And over here I got some other things. Let's see, these are Kentucky Wonder Pole beans that are growing here. We started these right from seed inside the grow beds. They seem to be doing pretty good. They're just now getting started this spring. It's springtime here, and so there's another tomato plant. We'll see how that's going pretty well, but that was also started from seed. Most of everything you see inside this aquaponics system was started from seed. And so this is some more Brussels sprouts, I think, and I think that's there. That's what that is there. This is cauliflower there, and cauliflower there. These are cucumbers here. Cucumbers did really good last year in the system. And there's some tomatoes there. Some more tomato plants. Some more tomato plants. And here's a really large tomato plant. This is the bed that we got the tomato plants started in, and we thinned them out to the rest of the grow beds. So it's growing really well. That's a pretty big tomato plant, so you can see the size compared to my hand. So it's growing real well. And we have some okra that's getting started in these beds. Again, all these plants started from seed right in the grow beds. And here we have some peas. Peas grow amazingly well in an aquaponics system. What we did is we put strings up on top of the roof. You can see we have a little gate here, or it's a kind of fence that we put up on and bolted to the top of the aquaponics greenhouse. And we're getting growth out of it. And there's peas coming in, just now starting to form on this aquaponics system. So it is growing food, thank goodness. But yeah, that's how it works. That's the system. Let me take you to the other side, and I'll show you the other side. Okay, so here's the system from the back entrance behind the barrels. And if I walk up here onto the platform, you can see the system is cycling here. The water comes in at the top where the pump puts it right there, and it comes down through here. And this is just kind of like a little way to filter anything that gets into the system. It's kind of crazy, and this is like a second little filter, first round filter, and it just puts the water in there, and it fills up. And there's a series of PVC pipes that you see that I was mentioning that you can see the water coming in at, and it fills up basically about up to there, and then that starts to flow down into here, and it starts to fill the bottle. So once the water level gets up to about here, then it starts to flow into the bottle. And then there's some counterweights to the water bottle that we have, and then they're into the hook, and that acts as just basically a counterweight, and there's a string attached to the valve down below. That's how that works. And again, you can find all of these plans on how to build this yourself over at myaquafarm.com. There's the logo, and pretty easy, simple to follow plans. But that's it. That's our aquaponics system inside of our greenhouse. And it gets pretty hot in here, but so far this spring it hasn't been unbearable at all. We have an open area up there, a hole, and then here we have a fan that's a solar panel, powered by a solar panel, and a thermostat. If the thermostat reaches above 85 degrees, that starts the fan moving, and it starts to push the hot air out. And so it stays pretty cool in here. It's not unbearable at all. And so when the summer months get here and it's really 100 degrees outside, we're going to install some windows in here. We're going to basically cut the plastic out here, and then we will put in basically open shutter type windows, and basically 2 on each side, and that will allow airflow to move in through there and keep the place even cooler during the summer months. So that's basically it. There's the barrels, Each one of these belong to the same grow bed system. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 10 half barrels for each system. So 10 half barrels for this, 10 half barrels for that, 10 half barrels for that, 10 half barrels for that. Pretty simple. Let me take you down and let me show you how this is constructed and what we did to build this. Okay, so basically first from the back, you see there's a platform. We built a platform on top of this so that we have free access to walk behind the system and reach over and adjust anything we need to adjust. So that gives us really good access because we really can't get to anything from the front because there's this big hole there. And so right here we have this back walking area, and then we have this platform that we see here that we can just walk up on and adjust anything that we need to adjust, get to anything we need to get to. And so underneath is the platform, all of treated lumber. And back here we're going to be using for this open space behind the tanks that you can see. There's a tank. And then there's this open space here. We're going to use this for composting, I believe, at some point. And so we're going to be using this to help. And then once this stuff composts in the back, it'll help keep the greenhouse warmer in the wintertime. And then also we'll be able to take that compost and put it on our gardens in the spring. And so that's what we're going to be doing for that. So, and then here's our electrical system that runs to our solar setup. So each set of pumps goes and gets wired into a central area underneath and then runs to the electrical box. And how I turn this off is just unplug one plug for each system, and that turns the whole system off. And so pretty simple, nothing crazy, easy electrical work. But at first it took us a little bit of, we're not electricians, so it took us a little bit of time to understand how all this worked, but it wasn't that hard to set up once we figured it out. And so that's how that works. Okay, so this is basically the construction. What we started with is all treated lumber. This platform is all built with treated lumber. The base of the platform is concrete blocks, and so there's concrete blocks under each one of the platforms. Underneath this entire area, basically what we did is we dug a huge ditch, that was the height of the water barrels. And we put the water barrels inside and began the construction inside this big giant hole. And at the bottom of the hole, we put a drain. We dug a drainage ditch under the whole thing and put piping underneath there. And it goes down in a ditch down the mountain. And so that took us a while to do that. And so we have basically a French drain underneath here that keeps the water out. And believe me, if we didn't have that, this thing would be full of water because it's all clay down here, and there's an underground stream that runs nearby, and for sure there is just lots of water in here. And so we had to install a drainage system under all of this to carry the water out. And so that's what we did. And then we have all of this whole platform here sitting on basically concrete block, and all of the lumber is treated, and we treated the lumber again. So basically it's double treated lumber that we have got this whole thing built with, and it's holding up pretty nicely. It's hopefully this is going to hold up for a lot of years. I would like to see this hold up for at least a decade or more before I have to tear it down and replace some of the lumber and start over. And so, because I figured it'd take me a year to basically rebuild this and be out of commission with the system for a year before I could rebuild it. So hopefully it'll last 10 years or more before I have to do that. But down there below stays mostly dry, and that's thanks to the drain we put in there, the drain that runs the whole length of the hole. And behind each one of these tanks there's a drain that runs all the way out down the mountain. And so that's how we built it. And we've got some basically some sheet metal that runs the length of this to keep the ground from moving too far and pushing the tanks too far back. And we have some tarps that run behind here. Again, the behind area we'll be using for composting in the winter months to help keep some heat inside the greenhouse and the plants growing and the fish alive. We'll be using bluegill, which don't have too much to worry about when it comes to cold weather. But still, we'd like to keep this as warm as possible in the wintertime to grow as many plants as we can in the wintertime. So that's basically it. That is the aquaponics system, and it is running very well. We're very excited that it's running as well as it is, and it's spring right now, so all of the plants in here are very young. They're just getting started, so we're looking forward to seeing what this does in the summertime. We will keep you updated. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it with others, and we will keep you updated on how our aquaponics is going to be doing in the months ahead. All right, we'll leave it at that. Go home, Read your Bible. Thanks.